What up, what up, what up? Hello, y'all. How you doing? What's going on? Robin Lundberg in the house. Another edition of the Robin Lundberg Show. And, to be frank, as is always the case, I got somewhere to go with the kids in a bit. And then I got to get back for the WNBA Draft and WWE Raw tonight, too. WrestleMania this week. I got a lot of wrestling-related things coming up at the end of the week. But let's start with the draft. And, I don't have anything specific to say. I don't have some sort of analysis that is going to wow you or blow you away or change your perspective on life or basketball. But I do want to recognize the moment in a sense, because you see the thumbnail on YouTube. It's Angel and Caitlin from the draft a year ago. And to think what has happened since then, right? Like, not to link Angel and Caitlin specifically. Obviously, they'll be linked forever, but you go to the national championship game a few years ago. Obviously, what Caitlin did last year coming into the league, just changing the trajectory of not only the WNBA, but women's basketball and perhaps women's sports as a whole. Getting guys like me who spent an entire career covering sports to be covering women's basketball predominantly, obviously specifically, the Fever and Clark leading that charge. It's a pretty cool moment. And it shows you even today where maybe the focus isn't as, heavy. Maybe there isn't as much attention because Caitlin's not in the draft this year. Angel's not in the draft this year. There is still a pretty big star in the draft in Paige Bueckers. Beyond Paige, it's not the most star-studded draft, right? Like beyond Paige, it's not something that's, a litany of names that are getting people going. Dominique Malonga looks like the most intriguing prospect beyond Paige Bueckers. The most famous names will probably go a little bit later in the draft between Haley Van Lith, and we'll see where Georgia Amore goes and Lucy Olson goes if she gets drafted. And, even Caitlin Chen from UConn might get drafted later. But last year, something like 2.6 million people, I think, tuned into the WNBA draft. I think it was higher than the previous 6 WNBA drafts combined. So it was part of, the thing with Angel and Caitlin happened 2 years ago, right? The Caitlin story continued into last year and what she did at Iowa, tearing it up at the college scene and having this, remarkable, huge audience watch Iowa's game against South Carolina. And then she goes into the WNBA. And I think so many people got, whiplash from how quick that turnaround is, because that's not what most sports fans were used to who just came into the WNBA and women's basketball around Clark and around that phenomenon. And then all of a sudden, she's in the WNBA, she's playing, and who would have thought all the storylines that would emerge? Like, I wouldn't have predicted that after Clark was drafted, that we'd talk about all the things that we've talked about between now and then. But you went through an entire WNBA season and then now an entire college basketball season, and we're back there again. And it's going to happen with Paige Bueckers, not to the same degree as Caitlin, but beyond Caitlin Clark, I would argue Paige is as famous as anybody else. In the non-Clark division, Angel Reese is there. Paige Bueckers is there. Sabrina, I guess, is there. Asia, I guess, is there. Like, that to me is the core group of the, Juju, of course. They're of the players who have the biggest name recognition and the biggest following, which is why Paige is getting this unrivaled deal right off the bat. I don't know if you saw that news, but Paige signed an unrivaled deal that is apparently in the first year worth the entirety of her WNBA contract. Now, that will maybe change with the next CBA, but that means she's getting like $350,000 for 10 weeks with Unrivaled. And that goes another way to show you how far the sport has come. So I just thought it was worth recognizing, worth taking a step back and appreciating, worth understanding like this journey. Hell, I lost my job officially like 10 days from now, 12 days from now. A year ago, we had all lost our jobs in January, and then, I got like sort of double laid off. So it was the following that April, and then look where we are now. Look where I am now. Look at where we all are now. Last year, I just remember the time frame. WrestleMania was last year too, because I took my son to Philly, and the second night WrestleMania was the day of the Iowa South Carolina game, because I remember watching that in the parking lot at WrestleMania and then taking my son to WrestleMania. I would have never thought, I would go from watching that on the phone to everybody watching me on their phones or through their computer screens about the same thing. By the way, I'll be doing some Busted Open shows this weekend, starting on Friday, leading into WrestleMania. Got a show with Denise Salcedo on Friday afternoon at noon, I believe. And then I think I'm doing post shows on Saturday and Sunday for the wrestling fans out there. But today is about the WNBA draft and how far these things have come. By the way, my contest is still running. There's a few spots left. You have a chance to get in on the contest. It's a WNBA draft contest being held by Spark It. The link is in the description, as is the new Indiana Fever on SI. I wrote about why the Fever, it's going to be so hard for the Fever's draft picks to make the team. If you're not aware, the Fever have pick 19, 20, and 33. And so for like people who have followed male sports for the most part, and then they come around on the women's, these ladies who are getting drafted are not guaranteed a roster spot, many of them. In fact, I was talking to an agent of a player last week who was saying that, like, yeah, there's the draft, but then they got to make the team. And for the Fever, they have those picks. They might not make the team, or they're unlikely to make the team, because the Fever have 12 players on the roster right now. 10 of them are basically guaranteed to make the final squad. That being Clark, Mitchell, Boston, Cunningham, Bonner, Howard, Hull. Who am I missing? Brianna Turner, Sydney Colson, and Dantas. Like 10 that are basically guaranteed to be on the team. And then there's 2 training camp contracts. One with Jillian Aileen, the other being Jaylen Brown. They've got 3 draft picks. Now, some of these picks they use might be a stash or something. But so that's 3 draft picks that would come in, which makes it 15. And they only have the salary cap space to keep 11. So they've got 12 now. They're going to add 3. That brings them to 15. They're only going to be able to keep 11. So that those draft picks, the 3 draft picks, whoever is drafted, if they want a spot on this year's roster, is going to be competing with the 2 training camp contracts. And it's going to be tough, is basically what I'm saying, to make the roster. So you want to check that out. That's in the description. Rosalina Lee, who is new to the team. She's writing. One of her pieces is down there. It's from talking to Haley Van Lith last week. And then obviously we got Grant Young there too as well. So make sure you check that out and support. Link in the description. And sign up for the contest tonight. Get in on the fun. I'll post the leaderboard up. We'll see who wins by tomorrow. There's just a few spots left in that contest. There's just a $10 entry fee to join. And you can keep track and compete against us. I think I have 2 entries in there. So fill that up. Fill that up before the end of the show. Let's get that all taken care of. Link in the description. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. All those things. And that was basically what I got to say, guys. Of course, as always, super chats, member chats will go first, starting with my guy, Kevin Zwicker. Draft day, Johnny Manziel, 5 years later. How am I the man still? That's a Drake line. Bad reference to Johnny Manziel, for the draft, because he's not the man still. By the way, Kev, we got to talk offline because Raj Raj really wants to start the wrestling YouTube channel. We got to figure out the best way to do that. And I told him I would try to get it up and running this week. I'm only one man. I'm doing all these things one at a time, I feel like one step at a time so that the whole rollout is ready when it's ready. Not for that specifically, but for everything I'm doing. Robin Lundberg Media in full effect. That's the LLC, by the way. Maybe I'll just get some Robin Lundberg Media merch as well. That's the business. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. There's the Jay-Z reference for y'all in the comments. AJ Schreiber says, Haley Van Lith going to the Sky at 11. That was an interesting trade for the Sky. I met Haley Van Lith on Thursday of last week. Cool people. It was a fun event that they had. J-Lab hosted the event in Brooklyn. We talked to Haley for a few minutes. She was having a good time. She seemed confident. I talked to her about like the turnaround, and I asked her if it was a good thing in a sense because she played so well just recently. And she said, yeah, I'm playing at my peak. So in that sense, it is a good thing. But she also said that, maybe the adjustment will smack her in the face. It's interesting to see if the Sky had a specific target with that trade because they did make that trade. They did move into the first round with another pick. They've got pick 10 and 11. The Sky do. I don't know. Maybe it's Haley Van Lith. Georgia Amore could be around that time. She could be a target for the Sky. They kind of punted on the future with those picks and with their trades because they traded. The one weird thing about the Sky trade is that not only did they trade the number 3 pick for Ariel Atkins, but they traded a swap, I think, in that year, something that affects them in a future draft. And then obviously they gave up their 2026 pick in order to get the 11th pick this year. So they're banking on putting it all together right now. The Sky is. So we'll see. I mean, Haley Van Lith would be an interesting pick. I know you're rooting for it, AJ, as a Chicago guy. Again, member chats, super chats, go first. Get in on that. Ernesto, he's a member. I appreciate Ernesto. He's like, I didn't have the funds, and then he was loyal. Ernesto's been around for the longest time. In fact, Ernesto was a fanalist on my radio show in New York. We used to do this thing called Fanalist Friday, where every Friday I would have a fan co-host with me, and one of them was Ernesto. And look, he's still here. Kev is still here from those days. AJ reached out to me when I was going through a rough time, and we connected in that regard. And I've got fans who I would now consider friends, which is cool. Erie Cliff, U2 TV, both listings and subject categories. They don't have the draft under WNBA or basketball. It's a forever problem. Well, it's like when you see one of those posts go up on social media that say, it's the best time in sports, or this is I think the Hawks put one out that said Trae Young is the only player to lead the country in points and assists and just ignored the women's side of things. That's been happening, but it's happening much and much less. AJ says the contests that Robin runs are really fun. I won a lot of money during the NCAA tournament contest. I do like the Spark It contests. I do think they're fun. I wouldn't have done another one if I didn't think they were fun. And I've had fun entering them and playing around in them. So get those spots filled up. I think, AJ, you only have one entry in this one, right? There's a few spots. I don't know how many spots left at this very moment, but a few spots left. Obviously, it will close by the draft. So you got to get in there. You can pick which school will have the most players drafted, where Haley Van Lith will wind up, who will be the number 2 pick, who will be the number 3 pick, so on and so forth. A bunch of little fun picks like that. Nothing high stakes or serious, but a fun contest if you want a little extra challenge going into tonight's WNBA draft. Click that link in the description. Sign up. Let's get it filled up before the end of this show. Hit me with the member chats and super chats. Like I said, they're going first. And then I will get to the peon chats, the normal folks chats. I'm just kidding. Like and subscribe and all that stuff as well. What does this mean? Red finger red number 1. Well, I don't understand what that means. What does that mean? And the 6-minute push. I see that at the beginning. I don't know what's going on with you guys. What were you saying? I'm confused. Hey, Lindy, how are you? What's up, Tulip? What is up, Kelly Mary? Seen you in here recently. Thank you for joining. John says, bored with the draft. Will not watch. All right. You don't have to. But it's kind of like it feels like the official jumpstart to the season in a sense, right? Like we're really almost there. We're really almost like there'll be one more little lull here after the draft, and then it's go time. In the longest offseason in the history of off seasons. I've never seen anything quite like the WNBA offseason. Because, I mean, the NFL, I guess, but that's a whole different type of sport, obviously. So, you would think the WNBA would be doing a little bit more to promote itself today. Maybe I'm missing it. It just doesn't feel like you've got Paige, of course, who's a pretty big star, like I said. But Paige, the thing about Paige is she don't have the same pressure. It ain't being applied the same way. That's how people are fibbing a little bit when they say certain things out there, because Caitlyn was a threat given her popularity, or I don't know what the wording is, but there was just something different about it. And then there was a different level of like, this is going to be a whole big league proposition, like you better be ready. Versus it's like, come on, Paige. Let's go, Paige. We can't wait to see you. And I'm rooting for Paige too. Trust me, because her going to Dallas, the Paige is going, gives another figure that people can follow. It's good for me. It's good for my line of work. But I do notice that like little bit of a difference in like, well, wait till you get to the league, Caitlyn. It's going to punish you versus, come on, Paige. Welcome in. Peace, love, Jen says, excited for the orange carpet in the draft. Are they still doing orange? I haven't seen any orange hoodies really today. Katie B says, I'm so excited. Happy they invited Malonga to the draft. I'm excited to watch the women get drafted. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Malonga is a fascinating prospect. Rick T says, what will the viewer numbers be tonight? It's a good question. Not last year, that's for sure. But I would imagine way up from the year before. So they won't be 2024, but they'll beat 2023. That I can almost guarantee. Where will they be? What was last year was 2.6 million. Let's say in the ballpark of $1 million, I would guess. That's just me spitballing. That is just me spitballing. Twofold asks, so are these picks useless? Are you referencing the Fevers picks? I mean, I would never say picks are useless because you never know who you might land and how they might make the team and what they might be able to do. I mean, the Fever on record are saying what they said about it was that they're going best available and that they hope to have a competitive training camp. I think the latter is almost a guarantee, considering the competition for that last roster spot is going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be Aileen versus Brown versus however many of these picks wind up in camp for one spot. Slow Pat like the Caitlyn Masters interview. I'm just ready for Caitlyn to play basketball, to be honest. I don't need any more interviews. I mean, that's great and all, but I want to see Caitlyn play basketball. Yeah, the Jay-Z bingo was done early today. Just for y'all. It was finished, completed, done. I mean, who's excited for the start of the season? Who's excited? What player do you want to see drafted the most tonight? Besides from Paige Beckers, what's the most interesting? I mean, because I wouldn't even say Paige is an interesting story. What's the most interesting story in the draft to you? F1 chats. That's just AJ. Who's also hammered. Like, here's another thing that circles back to what I was saying at the beginning. But since we started this, Kevin has started his own wrestling YouTube channel. You can check out the Fast Count if you're a wrestling fan. That's started since the inception of this. AJ is now breaking cards under his Hammer Time Hits brand. That started since this inception. Not that I'm not taking credit for that. I'm just saying it's cool that I've built what I've built, and those guys started pursuing their own passions all in the midst of this. And like I said, they were fans who became friends, and we have a text thread every day, literally every day, of me clowning Drake to Kevin, every day, and that's part of this journey as well. Like I said, I got some other stuff I got to get situated before the season starts. My son wants me to launch the wrestling YouTube channel with him this week as well. There's just, it's, but as I put out a message on social media, so much of the stuff about doing things yourself, it's bigger in your head than it ever is. Just do it. That's what I would say to anybody out there. If anybody's out there listening to me right now and you're scared to pursue something, or you're struggling with something, or you don't know what to do next, trust me, I've been there. Just do it. I worked for the biggest companies in the business, right? I worked for ESPN for over a decade. Disney over a decade. I worked for Sports Illustrated proper for 7 years. I still work for Sirius XM. Again, I'll be doing some shows for Busted Open around WrestleMania this weekend. I've been on CNN. I've been on Fox. I've gotten paychecks from CBS Sports Radio, and I do a Bleacher Report stream every Thursday on women's college basketball. Point is, what I built on my own has paid off for me more than anything that I got being an employee from these major companies. To that note, again, please like, subscribe, comment, members, super chats, great. Check out Indiana Fever on SI, the brand new Indiana Fever site in partnership with Sports Illustrated. Women's Fast Break on SI, an all-encompassing women's basketball site in partnership with Sports Illustrated as well. And sign up for the contest tonight. Get those spots filled up. Let me at least get a few of y'all in there so we can check the leaderboard. Who do we got? I see AJ. I see number 1 CC fan in there a couple times. I think Brian Steele is Kevin. The J-Man, I think, was in one of the last contests. But a few spots left before the draft tonight. Obviously, there's 3 hours left to get into that contest. Kevin says, just do it was the best advice Rob and AJ ever gave me. Also, shout out to ABG. That's an inside joke. ABG is Authentic Brands group that actually owns Sports Illustrated. But yeah, and that hesitancy, that fear, trust me, and I deal with it every day. I'm like, the wheels up here are always turning, which is a gift and a curse. But the best advice I can give people is just push through it and go. I gotta say, I'm pretty up on like stuff. I don't know who Krishan Rock is. That was the one who was on Angel's podcast, and everybody was upset. I just scrolled past. I'm sorry. Pete P predicts 4 million. I don't think so. We'll see. Mike Wiseman says State Farm had a pretty cool draft shout out. Well, they did a new ad with Caitlin, right? I hope so too, Geronimo. I campaigned for it last year, CC playing in Unrivaled. I really hope so. Look, I understand why she didn't do it this year. Like, And I would understand why she wouldn't do it next year, but I especially understand why she didn't do it last year, given the turnaround, which is the same thing Paige is going through, but the constant attention and the poor girl needed a break, I'm sure. Needed a mental health break and a physical break and all that. But it would be nice if Caitlin does Unrivaled this year. And Asia, everybody, if everybody does Unrivaled. If I say that selfishly, like I'm never gonna lie about that, but um I'm certainly rooting for it just like you. And who doesn't say things selfishly? I don't even know why I need to qualify that. She can do whatever the hell she wants. I'm not saying she needs to do anything, but I would like to see it. Rick T says, got tickets for Fever at Atlanta May 10th. I think I'm sitting close enough to hear CC's trash talk. There you go. Michael says, this year's draft is full of role players. Pretty much. But nonetheless, I wanted to note the moment. Even Basil's here. What's up? See, he's upset he misses the show. He really loves me so much. Athena says, last year, the number one draft was no question the best player in college, while Paige is number one and arguably the first or second best player in the draft, not in college, though. Look, Paige won the title. Paige played great last year. Paige deserves to be the number one pick. I got nothing bad to say about Paige, but as far as this, her stat line, Paige's stat line, I'll go 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. How does that sound? That's about my guess. What did I see resurface today? It was my man Vanche, who does a good job posting a lot of WNBA related stuff, and he posted a stat from Caitlin last year, which is just really wild in the context of it. Or he had posted it before, and I guess he said it was blowing up today. I'm trying to find it on the timeline. These are the things, well, I guess I can't yell at myself for not being prepared because I didn't know this was a spur of the moment thought, but I think I'll be able to find it. Regardless, it was a 25.10. Here it is. 25.10 assist games in a WNBA career. Look at this. Is that showing up? Yeah. 25.10 assist games, WNBA history. Caitlin Clark is tied for the most ever after a rookie year in 36 games at the time, to Ionescu's 138 to Taurasi's 561. It's not fair to hold Paige Bueckers or anyone else to Caitlin Clark's standard from last year. So, yeah, I think those numbers I spit out, I'd say 10 to 12 points, 3 or 4 boards, 2 to 3 assists, something like that probably makes sense. Sydney Hudson says Georgia Amore, the player they're most looking forward to seeing drafted tonight. Dixie says, not so into the draft, really just wanting to see the Fever pounce. Well, the Fever did. Look, the Fever made so many moves, and one of them, they traded that pick. Not only did they get off Nalissa Smith with that pick, but they got Sophie Cunningham. And I would say it was worth getting rid of the number 8 pick to get Sophie Cunningham and get rid of Nalissa Smith. Robin used to be a Paige hater, but not anymore. Was I a Paige hater? AJ used to think that I was shading Paige because I saw her as a threat to Caitlin, but really I was just telling the truth that she's not as good. And I never saw her as a threat to Caitlin in a basketball player sense or a popularity or any sense, really. But she's a great addition to the league. She's an excellent player, and she seems like a great person. So I got nothing bad to say about Paige. Philip says, me and Denise have great chemistry together. Thank you. I appreciate that. We will be doing, Denise and I will be doing Busted Open on, I guess they're doing an extra show because I looked at, they usually are 9 to noon, Monday through Friday on Sirius on Fight Nation. But I double confirmed. I'm booked for 12 to 3 on Friday, and I know it's with Denise because we talked about it. So you'll be able to catch us together on Friday on Busted Open going into WrestleMania. And then I believe I'm doing WrestleMania post shows on Saturday night and Sunday night. Busted Open After Dark. Kevin has the Bell to Bell with the Bergs. Is that a good title for the wrestling podcast with Raj? I should get Raj in here. Yeah, for the question, I'm not going to stream the draft, most likely. Oh, this one, you don't like the profile pic change. I've gotten good feedback on the profile pic change. Let me know what you guys think. Question. Professor XYZ, what do you take more pride in? Your contributions on SI or your independent live streams? Oh, the latter, no question. No shade to SI either. Look, at SI, I interviewed Tom Brady, Shaq, Steph Curry, CM Punk, go on and on, right? And I did videos that went viral, like frequently, routinely. But the thing about that is there's two things. One, people didn't remember me from that necessarily. Like the things blew up, but they didn't connect. It's just I was a face on a screen saying some catchy stuff. And then the fact that, the brand of SI, and don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted. The brand of SI is still extremely powerful. It's helping me now, right? Like on SI, Indiana Fever on SI, Women's Fast Break on SI would not have the traction that they already have if they weren't on SI, if they weren't an SI domain. But to be able to, in this basement, sort of rebuild my life with a laptop and y'all, yeah, I mean, I take a lot of pride in that. We're coming up on a year where I became I lost a job, but became a business. And then I have people that I can hopefully help and mentor and help grow and give opportunities to. AJ's right. It's like the commercial, the Nike commercial. You can do it. Just do it. Brandon Sleep, you do your super chats. Sorry, I wasn't trying to. I saw somebody saying I was trying to shame people. I'm not. You know what it is? I read. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret because I know YouTubers, right? Like a lot of YouTubers won't read comments that aren't super chats, right? Like, and aren't member chats or stuff like that. Part of what's made this what it is that it's, a community. So I do. But I understand like that would make people a little bit more averse. Why would I pay if, get my comment read for free? But I do appreciate the support, whether you're in here contributing dollars or you're just in here contributing thoughts or you're just in here watching and I don't see you show up in there. But Brandon, you are correct. You have contributed many super chats over the life of this show, and I thank you for it. AV says no CC22 and Unrivaled unless they provide her with a $50 million insurance policy plus $1 million to play. Well, look, the $1 million to play ain't gonna be a problem at all. I'm sure there will be an insurance policy. If you, I don't know if you guys saw, but like with Lainey Hamilton, the report was that they were going to pay her WNBA contract if the Liberty, there's a way that the Liberty could qualify her contract if she missed the season where she's not paid. Not saying the Liberty are doing that, but if they were, Unrivaled would pay the contract. This is an interesting thought. Tulip says Paige's stat line will suffer playing with Enrique the Ball Hawk. Shot chucker. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe their games blend because Paige is not very selfish. But yeah, I like I said, selfishly, and back to the comment from AV, I do want to see CC22 in Unrivaled next year. Katie thinks her assist will be higher with Enrique as a teammate. I agree. Eric Page is good for the league for sure. Look, she's another star coming into the league. Eric, they do have SmackDown and Raw drafts on Pro Wrestling where they draft to the, you know. Athena loves the new profile pic. Thank you. Twofold agrees. There's a couple of people that disagree, but if it was all one way, I would be like, uh-oh, but that's good. It's not Hunter Biden anymore, is it? Right now, the old profile pic is still just because I don't feel like making thumbnails for every individual video. It's so much easier to just stick on like a sticker. I mean, Katie gets it. WWE is like enjoying a TV show. Characters with villains and storylines to follow. They just happen to beat each other up. LOL. And I share the experience with my kids too. What did I say was incorrect, Bobby? There's no doubt in my mind that Caitlin Clark is going to go down as the GOAT, barring anything, that I don't even want to speak about. There's no doubt in my mind. John Cantrell, I've grown on him. There you go. That should be my slogan. Growing on you all the time. With each individual show. Yeah, I'm excited for WrestleMania. Jay, again, I'm doing some coverage of it this weekend. But I'm always like, it was last year I was there with Rajan, and that's one of my great joys in life is watching the wrestling events with my kids. And Big Ro, my youngest, is super into it right now. In fact, that's what I got to leave and do in a second is pick him up. But he brought his Jey Uso action figure to school today. BK Barth asks, do you think any of the Fever draft picks will make the team with their limited cap space? Probably not. But if one of them's good enough, they could beat out the others for that spot. Lindy's 98-year-old mother-in-law loves wrestling. My grandmother from Mississippi used to love wrestling. We would go down there, and my brother and I would rent these tapes from the video store that my aunt worked at and watch them in the house in Mississippi. My mom's from Mississippi, actually, y'all. That's why I say y'all. But she had like the Ric Flair, Arn Anderson action figures all around. She would watch wrestling, soap operas, and the Atlanta Braves. NBA Kid says, are you excited for the NBA playoffs? Clippers versus Nuggets will be crazy good. Yeah, look, it's funny that, wait, that's not Raj, is it? With the James. The NBA playoffs should be good. And look, I was an NBA head my whole life. I never would have thought I'd be focusing on the WNBA more than the NBA, but always excited for the NBA playoffs. Also, I saw the Kevin Durant news today, which gave me a chuckle considering what had happened with the, did you make another YouTube channel, bud? Is that you? Raj, is that you chatting in? You want to come say hi? Ronnie? Plug in Kevin. Fast count, wall-to-wall WrestleMania. Diana, another member. CC stat line didn't suffer because of Mitchell. I believe they both did very well. Yeah, look, generally, those critiques are always oversold. All those players that are great, like they figure out how to be great together. Somebody here? Was that you? Are you NBA kid? No? Come here, come say hi. Butter, shut up. Hey, what do you want our wrestling YouTube channel to be called?
I don't know.
Well, you have to think about these things. And you have to learn how to present to the camera. So you have to speak. Don't be shy. Like, make your point to the camera. What are you most looking forward about WrestleMania?
Jay beating Gunther's butt.
And why?
For getting revenge for almost killing Jimmy.
There you go. See? You got to make your points, all right? All right. Love you, buddy. Oh, RKO out of nowhere. Wallace Boss says this is the calm before the storm, with the draft in just over an hour and the crazy, amazing new season with new team formations. Fever will be exciting to watch. Yep, we're almost there. Thank you. He is. The draft, I mean, look, but that's part of the fun too. Damn, the shot from Mark Burnham. He don't get his looks from his dad. Damn. I think his dad is kind of all right looking. I gotta say. I don't think his dad's half bad. I don't know. Thank you, Brandon. Raj is the GOAT. I truly love Raj and Ronnie and Rohan. All three of them, obviously. I mean, they're my kids, so who wouldn't expect otherwise? But some of that love can't really be put into words. You know what I mean? Oh, there I go. I'm an emotional guy sometimes. Maybe it's the full circle moment of the draft today or talking about my kids, but I care. Just always know that's not fake about me. I care. Why is that weird, AJ? They're showing support. You know, hanging out, New York, chance to. All right, Basil, I'm gonna let you get away with this joke real quick. What are you doing? Your kid's favorite wrestler is Benoit. I'll let it slide. I don't think we've ever seen that Royal Rumble. I don't know if I've ever showed him that Royal Rumble specifically. All right, y'all. I do have to go pick up Rohan, like I mentioned, but I wanted to hop in today, get a quick show in, mark the occasion. I'll probably do another one tomorrow. Definitely at least one more this week. Please like, subscribe. What does this mean, Kelsey Bailout Queen? You gonna do a decent draw? I don't know what that means. You always come in late, but I always like seeing you. I like the Kelsey, the profile pic there. Join the contest. You got a couple more hours, a few more spots left. Women's Fast Break on SI, Indiana Fever on SI. Oh, will Paige do a decent draw? For the draft, again, my prediction is that the draft will have lower ratings than last year, but higher ratings than 2023. So there you go. First Fever preseason game in 19 days. Who's counting? Thank you, Brandon. You didn't have, yeah, that's super nice of you. Thank you. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night. I will end it on that note. Until the next time, eat.